So we're joined by my friend, Kimberly White, resume writer, career coach, has worked in four federal departments, has been a paralegal just all around. Everything we've talked about. This is our business law class. We're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, including my good friend April Majors over there at Ridgeland High School, my friend Jennifer Coate at the Academic Options Center, Madison Central, Rosa Scott, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for taking some time for us today.
Definitely. You're very, very welcome. I'm just glad to be here, Mr. Pigott. I appreciate you so much for the opportunity, and I look forward to just diving in and being able to say some amazing things to our Vema Jackson students.
Well, it's Pygott, but that's fine. Everybody says it wrong. But just take us back to the beginning. Jim Hill High School, Hines Community College, Belhaven University. Great combo of three great schools. So just tell us about your high school to junior college to Belhaven experience.
Oh, wow. Definitely will go down that journey. So I appreciate that, Mr. Pocket, and my apologies for mispronouncing your last name there. But yeah, so I graduated from Jim Hill High School. Yay, yay. So go Tigers. And I started at a community college, Hines Community College, and I speak so highly of community colleges. Being able to get a great deal of prereqs done there, and you be able to go from there, scholarships, and go on to your 4-year college. So for me at Hines Community College, I knew I wanted to major in business. I knew that for sure. As to what capacity of business, I was not for sure at that time. But as I got into just focusing in on my prereqs, and I said, well, as I go along, I'll be able to decide on an actual major. And
Yep.
so as time went on, I got involved in some different organizations that were there at Hines Community College. One was Phi Theta Kappa, also Phi Beta Lambda, which is a business association. And while there, I decided that I wanted to also obtain a 1-year technical certificate. I knew I was there for my associate degree, decided on business administration. So I thought at the time, I said, I'll go that route. And so that's what led me down the journey of Phi Beta Lambda, Future Business Leaders of America. And
Yep.
so, that being said, those teachers there apparently saw some things in me that I did not see in myself at that time. And so, they wanted me to compete in one of the business categories. And so, what I competed in was job interview, along with cover letters and resume writing. And so, I did that. And I tell you what, Mr. Pocket, I did not I did not place the first year at all. And do you know those same instructors, Dr. Broadway, Dr. Pates, Miss Carr, all of them was like, well, you know what, Kimberly, we want you to go ahead and compete again that following year. I was like, well, why not get somebody else? I did not place nowhere. So long story short, I did it again, you all. And I tell you what, it shows you the persistent that needs to take place, and then listen to your instructors. They can truly see something in you that you may not see in yourself at first. And so me going through that journey, I placed first for the state of Mississippi and fifth in the nation with job
Wow.
interview, cover letter, interview techniques. And
Wow.
that taught me something, and it also inspired others as well. And so with that being said, I encourage anybody to get to know your instructors, get to know other departments at a community college. And even you all that, know I'm speaking to my ninth and 10th graders, really get to know your teachers. You never know who they know. I mean, as you get into thinking about employability, age of 15, 16, you can start working a little bit here and there. And so you never know who knows who and who can help you out, help you get that resume together, help you to work on your interviewing techniques so that you can get your first job. My first job was Captain D's. But going back to Hines Community College, so I got my associate degree. But before I left Hines Community College, I also was involved with Workforce Development Center. And there was a lady there by the name of Miss Wynn. Miss Wynn just really took a liking to me. I would stop by, check on her, talk to her. She knew I was looking for a job. And so outside of Captain D's and all that, but my first full-time job, I was ready to work full-time and still be able to go to college. And so with that being said, she said, you know what, let's see if we can find you something. She looked online. I do not know what website she went to, But that started my career at Butler Snow Law Firm as a file clerk. And I tell you,
Wow.
I was so excited. I started there. I started off part time so that I could still go to school. But once I graduated from Hines, I was accepted into the Aspire Accelerated program at Belhaven University. And with that program, you're able to go in the evening time because while I was at Butler Snow, I was offered a position as a legal assistant aide. And that was a
Wow.
full time position. That was my first full time position with benefits. First checking account. It was just the most exciting experience for me. And so, with that being said, I'm always big on my work ethics. Every job I've had, all the way from Captain D's to, I don't know, I'm probably dating myself, but Jitney Jungle, Winn Dixie grocery store as a cashier. But I tell you, every job I've had, I always want to give it 110%. So with that being said, I was so thankful that the attorneys there and the legal secretary there saw fit for me as a file clerk to say, you know what, I wouldn't mind giving Kimberly an opportunity of full time as a legal assistant aide. So with that being said, I worked with some great attorneys: Barney Robinson, Jack Crawford, Paul Davis, Ryan Beckett, and this was in our commercial litigation department. So we dealt with a great deal of insurance defense. That's what we dealt with most. And then also we did do some asbestos, a little bit here and there. But for the most part at Butler Snow, we did a great deal with insurance defense. There were all type of insurance companies and just cases from left to right that were going on. And so that's what my focus was when I was there at Butler Snow. So I did a variety of, motion to dismiss. I did various discoveries. I mean, you name it, I did it. I also helped the paralegal there. So with that being said, I got a chance to get into a little bit of mock trial. I had a chance to experience going to a mock trial, enjoyed it, loved it. And so with that being said, I know one of the attorneys was really encouraging me to go into the arena of being an attorney. And I thought about it, and I was like, oh, don't know. We'll see. It was like, you really got to think about it. Went to the point to even get my LSAT, got the books and all that to start studying for the LSAT. But, sometimes things go in a whole different direction. Not to say that I still don't have that love for legal, because legal still followed me throughout my career. And so, with that being said, while at Butler Snow, enjoying my job, really thinking about going down this road of, okay, I think I may want to be an attorney, go ahead and stay here at Butler Snow. Thinking you're young. I'm in my young, oh my goodness, young 20s. And I'm 44 now, but young 20s. And I'm just like, okay, I think I've arrived. I think this may be the route I need to go. Well, I end up getting a call out the blue from someone who had given my name to another law firm, Baker Donaldson Law Firm. And this was regarding a Florida legal secretary position. And it was a promotion for me. And they stated, I was like, well, who gave my name? And I ended up finding out who it was. And she told me her reason behind it. She said, well, Kim, you just have such amazing work ethics. And I just thought this would be a great opportunity for you. I know you're a legal assistant aide. And the person that gave my name was actually a fill-in Florida legal secretary, just at different law firms. But she gave my name. She said, well, I just think you'll be a great fit to just go to the next level and just go ahead and see about trying, for this Florida legal secretary position. So, I was kind of back and forth, praying about it. I said, you know what? Let me at least go for the interview. Went for the interview, a phenomenal interview, loved it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give this a try if they're wanting to hire me. And they did want to hire me, and I went ahead and accepted. So I went down this journey into now being a Florida legal secretary for Baker Donaldson Law Firm. So with that being said, I got the opportunity to sit in a lot of different chairs for different legal secretaries. From now at Baker Donaldson, that's where I did a great deal of asbestos cases there. And so went from dealing with that, sitting in some chairs that were involving real estate. I mean, you name it, malpractice of all different kinds, just different stories, I like to call them, because me sitting in for a legal secretary gave me the opportunity to meet those amazing attorneys that I came across, got a chance to dive into the legal work that they were doing, gave me the opportunity to learn more, gave me the opportunity to see a different perspective of the legal arena. So I enjoyed that as well. And so while I was there, and again, as I told you all earlier, I had the opportunity to meet different people. And my personality, I love all people. Do not meet a stranger. We talk, have conversation. You never know who knows who. So
There
long
you
story
go.
short, it's the truth, Mr. Pocket. I tell you, it's the truth. And so long story short, I end up getting pulled into the HR director's office, and she was explaining to me that there's somebody in a particular department that want to see if you're interested in being a case assistant for them, for their team. And I was like, oh wow, really? And she told me who it was, and I said, oh wow, I know them. I've sat for them before, as a Florida legal secretary. And I went ahead and I accepted, because I'm still there at Baker Donaldson. And as a case assistant, you are that one that's doing a great deal for the attorney as it relates to sending out a variety of different notices of service, subpoenas. I mean, I did it all. And then with the drafting of the various type of legal letters that you're sending out to the opposing counsels, to the judges. I mean, I enjoyed it. I considered it something that was definitely gratifying to myself because I love to write anyway. And so, with that being said, I got into doing that, and as time went on, and just to kind of give you, I guess, some sense of a idea of a time frame. So this was, I guess, 2004, 2005 with Baker Donaldson, and from case assistant, I know the shareholders there. One was a retired judge, and they absolutely loved my work ethics. They loved how I conduct myself when it comes to the duties of my job. And I tell you what, I got offered a paralegal position. And so at Baker Donaldson, the whole mindset was, having your own office as a paralegal, which most paralegals, have their own office. And so at Baker Donaldson, with me being in my my 20s, I'm about, almost mid 20s at this time. And I took on that role as paralegal. I loved it. I enjoyed every aspect of it. And then if you could think back to Hurricane Katrina ended up coming and taking place. And I felt the calling and the urge to want to help those victims that were impacted by Hurricane Katrina. And so I was kind of torn with it back and forth because an opportunity had presented itself for me to be a legal assistant for the Department of Homeland Security. And this happening to be under the umbrella of the agency FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Uh-huh.
And I tore I torn back and forth with it because I absolutely, the law firms I've worked at, I love them. They are amazing law firm, prestigious, very serious about the work that they do for their clients. And it was just such an honor to work for them. But I explained to them what I was feeling and the urge to want to help the Hurricane Katrina victims at that time. And you all, they were so supportive, Mr. Pocket. And when I tell you that, they were like, hey, we wish you the best. We're going to miss you. But I went on to Department of Homeland Security. And there's where I started my federal career and still in the legal arena. And I was working for oh my goodness, six amazing attorneys. And at FEMA, the way it works is rotating attorneys, constantly coming in and out. So I dealt with attorneys from FBI. I dealt with attorneys from Federal Aviation Administration. I dealt with attorneys that were at the headquarters of FEMA that wanted to be in on that disaster. They wanted to be in and they wanted to help in whatever way they could. And so I also was their FOIA point of contact. So that's dealing with your Freedom of Information Act. So I also dealt a great deal with all of that, also with your Privacy Act. So a lot of different people out in the public wanted insight on what was going on with Hurricane Katrina. And so, with that being said, you have to go through a certain process to be able to do that. And so, I was the one that had to also adhere to all of that as well. And so, Mr. Pocket, I could go on, but I just say that it's been an honor to be in those legal arenas, and even throughout my careers with other federal government agencies, from FEMA to left there. With FEMA, their whole mindset is you kind of work yourself out of a job. So I saw people leaving from left to right, but I stayed there for quite some years. And I did work myself, I guess, out of a job somewhat, but I ended up getting an offer with U.S. Department of Agriculture as their deputy district manager secretary. And so even there, I dealt with certain things that dealt with workplace violence incidents within our inspectors and supervisory inspector divisions of the chicken plants, egg plants. We dealt with the Southern District, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. So even there, I was still doing legal. But I also did a lot of administration work and also tapped into some human resources. So I'll stop there and see if there's anything else that you
Now,
have
now, one
questions.
thing I wanted to hit on is because of your resume writing experience, and that's something that we've dealt with as far as the business side, and that is a skill that is so overlooked when it comes to writing, communication, interviewing. Because I know I can speak for every teacher that'll see this later. A big obstacle we have is these kids are so scared to speak. They don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want to communicate, and that is such a skill that is needed in every form of business. So, as somebody that has sat in interviews, that has competed in interviews, that has competed in resume writing, that has done resume writing work, what are the biggest mistakes that you see young people make when it comes to writing resumes?
I would say first and foremost, you need to know how to sell yourself. And I do feel that a lot of our young people are timid for whatever reason. And, now we have a lot of social media and we have a great deal of the video games and all of that, which is nothing wrong with it, but it also requires some balance. Because a lot of times when you have people that are doing the video games and a lot of social media and they're not interacting with people face to face outside of the four walls of that classroom, outside of the four walls of that room, that house, whatever the case may be, you must get out and be a part of, socialization is important. You must be a part of interacting with others, knowing how to give eye contact, knowing how to communicate, knowing how to articulate yourself, knowing what you like to do, knowing what you don't like to do. And sometimes that requires getting out, going. Like, I commend what you're doing, Mr. Pocket. I commend you for this because this is giving, your students a variety of perspectives on what is out here in the world. And so saying that, if they can understand the importance of communicating, eye contact, knowing how to sell yourself with confidence. And so I feel that's one hindrance for our young people, that they don't really know the proper communication techniques. Body language says a lot, your appearance, all of that matters. And you must know how to be able to give that eye contact. You got a lot of people I've noticed nowadays, since we're in this whole new world of information, right? With our internet and with everything that we have now, social media, like we're on Zoom right now, loving it, but also wanting to be able to articulate yourself and present yourself in a way in person is still vitally important.
Yeah, being able to walk in a room and introduce yourself.
Ab-
And I'm glad you mentioned about when you're working at Captain D's and such. I was still working in restaurants into my 30s. I was working at Kroger in high school, and I'm far from an expert, but not being afraid to speak and communicate. I had people offer me jobs because they were like, "Hey, you're really good at this. We'd love to have you at XYZ." Now, I wasn't interested in taking those jobs, but that just goes to show you never know who you meet, because you may think, man, this job sucks. I mean, I'm never going to do anything. But if you can show that you have those skills of somebody that comes in there, I'm telling you, people will see that and people will literally say, "Hey, would you like to work somewhere else? I'd love to have you."
Absolutely. I totally 100% agree with you on that. And that's what it's about. That is still valid in today's society. Those qualities matter. They still matter. And so I totally agree with you on that. So, along with that, I would just say that a lot of people, when you ask them the question, tell me about yourself. What?
Absolutely. Well, I do have some questions from the students. I do have some
Yes.
questions from the students, and all of our females are absent today, but I've got all young men in here with me today. But
Well,
still,
hello, young man.
well, yeah, we all need we still need great young men in our community. I like this first one. This is Kamani Wright. He's in ninth grade, one of our power lifters here, and he
Oh,
asked, "What has been the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome in your life?"
oh, thank you so much for that question, Kamani. Well, my biggest obstacle, I would say, that I had to overcome in my life, quite a few of them actually, but the biggest one, mm, mm, I'm going to say fear. Fear of, and this is going to sound so crazy when I say this, but fear of success. And you'll be like, what? Fear of success? Though I would think more so fear of failure, right, Miss White? But fear of success, because in my arena, I felt like, you know, I make it, I arrive, but then what if I can't continue to stay up to the standards or the expectations of those people that are looking to me for
There
a
you go.
whatever the capacity may be, resume writing, or if it is a chief of administration, which is the last position I had with National Park Service, you know. But as time went on, I think for me, once I became a mom, first I, got married, and then about 3 years later, we decided we wanted to have children. I feel a lot shifted. Paradigm shift took place. Kim, you got to step up and come to the occasion and realize that you can have fear. And fear is a hindrance. So when you're thinking about, in my case, I said fear of success. I had to say, you know what, break away from the fear. I want the success. And whatever, if I can be successful, I can also rise to the occasion. So a lot of time it's a lot of self-talk to yourself, motivational books, with me, I'm real big in church, doing things in my church, New Beginnings Christian Life Center in Byron, Mississippi. And also, I like to do confirmations, affirmations. These are ways to encourage yourself. If it's not daily, every other day. So that would be my answer to that question. That was my biggest obstacle, was fear of success, but I have overcome that now. So.
I got time for two more. I like this one. This is Jordan Job. He's in 10th grade, one of our
Okay.
football players. And he asked, "What's one thing about your field that you're still learning every day?"
Ooh, that's good. Thank you for that question, Jordan. I would say you definitely never stop learning. And one thing for me is just embracing the variety of different personalities. I am always coming across all type of individuals, and knowing how to be able to meet them where they are. I mean, yes, I've worked in some great prestigious law firms, things of that nature, but also being able to have a rapport with somebody that may work for the waste management facility, or somebody that may bag groceries at the grocery store. Being able to relate to your audience of every
There you
type,
go.
it matters.
Absolutely.
And so I mean, I thank God for the different opportunities that I've had, work ethics, and that's why I love being a career coach, as one of my passions as well, because I get people from all type of walks of life, and some of them are transitioning from one career to another. So you got to be diversified, and in the arena that we're in now, diversity is what's needed. Not only just knowing how to do one thing, but knowing how to do another. Like for me, yes, I have legal background, I have human resources background, I also have administration background. I mean, it's good to have that nowadays, because it really sets you up for even more success. So that'll be my answer to that question, Mr. Pocket.
All right, I got one more, and I love this one. This is Levon Johnson. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, "You mentioned the importance of networking. What would be a great way to build my connections?"
That's a good one. So building connections is everything. So regardless of, what your position is or what you're wanting to be, and just thinking about ninth and 10th graders, building your connection is, you got to have that type of people personality. You got to be likable. You got to like people. You got to be okay being around people, whether it's, virtually like we're doing, or it's face to face. You build a rapport with people, and by being yourself. Don't be nobody else but you. Be authentically who you are. And so, saying that to say, building your connection, it requires, putting yourself in certain places. Don't think just about your peers. If you're thinking about being a doctor, there are certain programs out here, summer programs. Get yourself in the right room with the right people that can get you connected in with some of these summer programs. Those are ways of connecting as well. Call the HR director, and hey, listen, I'm really interested in working for a summer program, because a lot of these different hospitals, believe it or not, they have it. I know University Mississippi Medical Center, they have it. I was actually one that was a part of it in the medical records department. I was, 18, I think, 18 years old. It was just June, July, 2 months, but I gained experience.
Yeah,
I got,
and we actually know the head of volunteer services at UMC, Alan Loving, who's a friend of this class and is always looking for young people to start getting experience. So I can get anybody plugged into him that wants to get some volunteer experience at UMC with one phone call.
oh, that's good to know. Oh, that's so good to know. So speaking of that, I may need to talk to you as well, Greg, regarding one of my clients who is looking for some summer employment there at UMMC. But I know it exists. And I know the director at the time, oh, that was, like I said, y'all, I'm 44 years old. So this was a long time ago. But I'm glad to hear that you definitely know the director. Again, you all, this connection that me and Mr. Pocket are doing right now, connecting, collaboration. He just made it known to you all as well, regarding who's there at UMMC that can now get you connected in with a summer employment right there. And they do pay. It's not just free. So, yes, that's my answer to that question for you.
Now, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us. But a couple things before we go. First of all, if anybody is looking for career coaching, how can they get in contact with you?
Okay, well, you can definitely reach me on LinkedIn. And Kimberly White is my name. And I just realized here that my daughter's name is showing up, Zion Nicole White. So that's my daughter's name, you all, that's showing up, Zion Nicole. But yes, Kimberly White on LinkedIn. And you can also reach me on Facebook, Kimberly White on Facebook. Also, you can send me an email, and you can send that email to it's all about the W at outlook.com. That's it's all ALL about ABOUT the THEW at outlook.com. And I'm also a realtor with Community First Real Estate. I became a realtor in October of last year. So I'm just roughly at about 6 months here.
Yeah,
And
Misha's a friend of the class as well, so we're very familiar with Misha Edwards there at Community First. Does a great job.
yes, that's my amazing broker, Misha Edwards. So that's me in a nutshell. I have truly enjoyed this time with you and the students. I've enjoyed it. It's been great.
All right. Well, again, we thank you so much for joining us, Kimberly White, Jill of all trades. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Y'all have a great Monday.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.